Hello students, today we'll start the chapter crop management and the production also we'll see here. In the chapter crop production and management, we'll discuss regarding the crop, right? And also we'll describe different types of crops. Now first thing, what is crop? Now first tell me what is the main thing whatever we are living here. That means we are living on by taking some food, right? And some cases we have that rice is the main meal of our food, right? So some of our they are taking rice, some of our they are taking wheat, right? As the food, main food. And apart from this, our body, it requires some vitamins, it requires some fibers also. So for all these things, first list all the things whatever you are eating every day. It might be rice, it might be wheat, some pulses also, right? And also sometimes we are taking some fruits, right? We are taking some fruits also, and we are taking some milk product also, right? To maintain our body, that is nutrition, our nutrition, balanced nutrition, right? So that means the main thing whatever you are doing, that in every day we require some things that without that we cannot sustain, or without that we cannot live. Like rice, wheat, pulses, fruits, milk product, we require any of them, or sometimes we require all of them, right? So here, what is the crop? Now, if you one person, you are thinking about yourself, but do you know how many peoples you have in our country? In our country, approximately 130 crores people, 130 crores people. Like that, if we are thinking about the whole world, at that time you can see that millions of peoples are there, and we have to feed them using our crops, right? So the crops means using the plants of same kind that are grown and cultivated as a source of food in a large cultivable land is called a crop. Suppose we require rice, some very heavy amount. That means I'm not, now you are not thinking about your home. Your home, it may require rice of sometimes for a month, rice of only 1 quintal, or rice of only 50 kgs. But you just think about what will be the requirement of the whole India, or whole country, or whole world. So here you can see that the rice or the wheat, whatever the requirement of all the peoples, because from wheat also several products also we are making. Using rice also several products also we are making. Using pulses also, using fruits also. That means it is not like that the requirement is the basic requirement. We are require it for different types of uses. Like fruits, you require fruit juice. You may require some other jellies also. Milk products, sometimes we are making curd, we are making paneer. So this type of things we require. So that means what? If we require rice, wheat, pulses, fruits, milk product, all these things, that means in a large scale, we have to feed, or we have to produce or cultivate in a large scale. Don't think about that small scale. Large scale means huge amount, huge amount, right? So if plants, suppose the plants for the paddy or plants for the wheat, right? Suppose we are making the ground a very large ground or very large field. At that time, we are calling this is the field. A large field that is cultivable. Obviously, that should be cultivable. Now, what do you mean by cultivable? First, here I am writing the points. First point, you have to think about the soil. What is the what type of soil you have. Is it possible to grow rice? Is it possible to grow wheat? Is it possible to grow any pulses there? Next is the weather. That is very, very important. What is the weather? Because every part, that means rice, wheat, pulses, fruits, and other also some cotton, some other vegetables also, here. I'm writing here another thing, vegetables. Other vegetables also, it requires a particular temperature and particular amount of rain. So that's why particular temperature and weather, that means or rain, that means weather. So a suitable weather you require, a suitable soil you require, and other things that are not dependent on the environment, but other things, that is the manpower. That is the manpower. This is also very, very important. Suppose I am cultivating in a place where no one is living and they have to come from a very long distance. So it is not possible. So how much is the manpower is available? According to that, this we are making one land cultivable. So manpower is less important, because whenever we are selecting one land for cultivation, at that time we know that unemployment is a big disease in our country. So to obtain the employment, all the peoples, they will go there and they will cultivate there, but they should know how to cultivate the particular rice or wheat or pulses or fruits, particular crop, right? So crop means the plants of the same kind. If I am cultivating rice, so I am cultivating paddy, I am cultivating wheat, I am cultivating pulses, so I am cultivating particular pulses. So plants of same kind that are grown and cultivated as a source of food in a large cultivable land. I have told you what do you mean by cultivable land, and I have told you all these things actually we are going to use as a food. As a food, it may be we are taking like raw rice or wheat, as to we are making our rice, wheat, using the wheat, or other things also we are also making, right? That means we are processing that crop, and then we are making another type of foods also. But actually this is the source of food. Okay, so that means the crops are living plants grown by farmer, but proper definition of the crop should be, you should consider 2 points in your definition. First, in that same kind that we are growing, and cultivable land, that is cultivable land. So crops are living plants grown by farmers. Most crops are foods such as grain, vegetables, fruit. Some crops are drugs also. Quinine. We are growing eucalyptus plant in a large area. In a large area, we are growing eucalyptus plant. We are growing for drug, right? Quinine. We require this. Fibers like cotton, right? Your pillow that is made up of this cotton. Sometimes we are making some our clothes also using this cotton. So other materials like rubber, right? And wood. Okay. So these things we require in our daily life. It is not like that crop means only the things that you are eating. Crop means whatever you are using in a large scale. The you means the human beings. Human beings, or it may be not only the human being, it may be other animals also. Other animals also, they are using in a huge number, and so that we are cultivating that thing. We are cultivating, and cultivation, this term will appear whenever you are growing that particular pulses or particular rice or wheat in a large scale, right? So what is crop? Plants of the same kind that are grown and cultivated as a source of food in a large cultivable land is called a crop. And in this case, crop in this lecture, in this slide, what we have studied. Crop means we can cultivate a land. Only you have to cultivate paddy, only you have to cultivate pulses, only fruits, only milk products, only vegetables, only drug like quinine and cotton, rubber, wood. Wood forest is there. From forest we are getting wood, and for rubber also, rubber, some rubber gardens are there. So huge number of rubber trees are there, and from them we are taking the rubber. Okay, so that means these are the crop. Okay, next, what are the crops? Here you can see in a beautiful picture, this person, he is trying to cultivate a crop in a large area of the land. So crops are plants that grown by the farmers, and agriculture that plays a very important role in our Indian economy, and it is the backbone of our country. Now, one thing, agriculture, that is because our environment, this is possible because our environment, that means the soil and the weather, that prefers the weather, this prefers the activity, that is the agriculture, and it is the main backbone of our country. And due to agriculture, by importing and exporting, generally by exporting of several cultivated crops, we are earning money. We are earning money. And with the help of those money, we are able to improvise, or we are able to do a lot of things for our country, right? So this is the exporting, and sometimes we are importing also few crops that are available in other countries, that are available in other countries, available in other countries. Okay, so the crops are plants grown by the farmers, and here that means the crops, those are the plants which we are cultivating in a large quantity, in a large field, and obviously the field should be cultivable, right? So these are the crops. Now, 70% of Indian population depends on agriculture for food and money. Now, first thing, food. Here, the food, here we have different types of food. And one of the area, that means in our country, some of the areas, they are very much expertise in that type of food cultivation, right? If I am using to cultivate rice, that means paddy, wheat, maize. So there are different parts of the country, in which this cultivation is huge. This cultivation is huge because all over India we can see that India is a country which extends from Himalaya to that peninsula. So that means what? Different weathers we are facing whenever we are moving from north to south or from west to east. At that time we are facing different weather. For different weather, different type of crop cultivation is possible. And the major occupation of our Indian people, that is the agriculture. That is the agriculture. And the cultivation of the crop, that depends primarily on the weather and soil. This already I have told you. These two factors are very, very important. I am saying that yes, Assam. I am saying Assam. I am saying yes, West Bengal. These are producing rice, huge rice. How? Due to their soil and their weather. Due to their soil and weather. I am saying that some maize, this will be produced at suppose northwest of India. Why? Due to the weather and soil also, right? So that means the crop production that depends on soil and weather. These two factors are very, very important. And here in India now, 70% of our Indian people, they are dependent on the agriculture for their food. They are not only for their food, they are providing the food to us also. So we should be very much thankful to them, and they are earning the money to live properly. So they are earning the money by selling their cultivated crops. Okay. Now the types of crops. Here, according to the season, as I have told you, for crop cultivation, 2 points are very important. One is soil, another is weather. Fine. Suppose I have the cultivable land. That means what? I have the type of soil which is required to cultivate, suppose, paddy. That soil I have. But the weather is not good. At that time, I cannot grow the paddy land. So what? The weather is very, very important. That means I have to check when throughout the year we have 12 months and we have different seasons also. So according to the season, we may divide different type of crops. We may cultivate different type of crops. So that means we are cultivating the crops that depending upon the season, right? I will not cultivate one crop which is not favorable for that particular weather. So I will cultivate the crop which is the weather should be preferable. So that according to the depending on the season or according to the season, we may divide the crops. Like first is the kharif crops. The crops which are grown in the monsoon season, are known as the kharif crops, like maize, cotton, and paddy, soybean, and pea. These are the crops which are very, very important for the monsoon season. That means what? You just think one thing. In the monsoon season, we will cultivate in a large scale this type of kharif crops, and after that we'll store it, right? Because in the other season, summer season or in the winter season, it may be we are not able to cultivate these kharif crops. So at that time we also require that. So the storage is also another important point for the crops also. So only the cultivation, that is not enough. The storage is also very important point, and we have to think about it. And we'll discuss it in other lecture also. So here first thing is the kharif crop, and kharif crop when it will grow in the monsoon season. When it will grow in the monsoon season. Rainy, yes, rainy day. So monsoon season, you just remember rainy day. Kharif, that means it will grow in the rainy day. You have the rainy day, no, in your school sometimes. So the rain also requires here. That's why in the monsoon season, we are growing the kharif crops, right? Clear? Next. The seeds are grown at the beginning of monsoon season and harvested at the end of monsoon season. Now, first thing, for any cultivation, first is that if you have a land here, first the seeds, you have to put the seeds. You have to put the seeds like this. You have to put the seeds. When you will do? At the beginning of monsoon. At the beginning of monsoon. Now it will grow, right? Monsoon, that means it will 3 to 4 months, right? It will be for 3 to 4 months. The monsoon season will be there. So within this time period, it will grow, and we have to use some fertilizers or manure. I will tell you what is fertilizer and manure. So that I will use. Then after that, we can see that rainy season. So rain should be there. The weather is most preferable weather. Fine. The soil also before the cultivation, before the seed implantation, we have made the soil for proper cultivation. So first we are making the soil. That means what? We are making the soil. First we are preparing the soil. First thing is that preparation of soil. Preparation of soil. What you are saying, whenever some saplings you are taking and you are just you have to put it in the pot, first you are preparing the soil. Like that they are also preparing the soil. Next is that seed. Then the seeds are sown. Okay, then seeds are sown. Next, weather is preferable, right? After that time, if any fertilizer in during this time, if any fertilizer or manure is required, then they will give. But after this, at the end of the monsoon season, whatever we are doing, harvesting at the end of the monsoon season, or we are harvesting the end of the monsoon season, the crops at the end of the monsoon season. And it requires a lot of water and hot weather for proper growth. So as you know that the monsoon, that means a rainy season. So that means the water that will be given by the weather also. Also, if required, because the rain that is not similar for all the area, if it is required, then we are giving the water from any river or from any other source of the water. So we require such crops like paddy, soybean, pea, cotton, peas, green gram. So we require a lot of water and hot weather. So that means monsoon is preferable. So in the monsoon, we are growing the crop that is kharif crop. That is kharif crop, right? So what is kharif crop? In the monsoon season, whatever the crops we are growing, that is kharif crop. First, what we are doing? First, preparing the soil of the field. Then the seeds that are sown at the beginning of the monsoon season. Then during the monsoon season, it will grow and it will give us the crop. And after that, at the ending of the monsoon season, it has been harvested. The crops has been harvested at the end of the monsoon season. So in this case, one thing we should be careful. First thing, the kharif crop, they require lot of water, and another thing, that is the hot weather. And all these things, these are possible in case of monsoon. So that's why we have chosen for the kharif crop, that is the monsoon season. Are seeing that these are also Rabi crop. So various agricultural practices are carried out in new crop varieties. Such crops require a warm climate for the germination and maturation of seeds. They, however, require a cold climate for their growth. So that means for germination, they require warm climate. And after that, you have to put it in the field where they will require cold climate. That's why we are preferring the winter season for the growth of the Rabi crops. Growth of the Rabi crops. In the winter, you have written this thing or not? Yes. So winter, that is very much good for these pulses also. These pulses also. So we are cultivating Rabi crops in the season winter, and this will be carried out, but the germination or maturation of the seeds, that require warm climate, but after that for growth they will require cold climate. Now the Z crops. Here, such crops will grow between Kharif and Rabi. So here you have monsoon, here you have winter. In between these two, what you have? From winter to monsoon, what you have? That is the March and June. March and June. March to June, right? March, April, May, June. These 4 months. So then in between these two seasons, that means monsoon and winter, we are growing what? We are growing Z crops. We are growing Z crops like cucumber. I think in the summer you are taking more cucumber. Pumpkin, bitter gourd, watermelon, these are the Z crops. And these crops mature very early. These crops mature very early. So this is the Z crops. So what are the crops we have studied till now? First one, that is the Kharif. That is for monsoon. Now second one, what you have studied? Rabi. That is for our winter. We are growing in the winter. Third one, that is the Z. That we are growing in the summer, or I can say March to June. March to June. Okay, March to June. So these crops like cucumber, pumpkin, bitter gourd, watermelon, these are the Z crops and they will mature very fast. So they will not take so much time like paddy, but they will mature very fast. So we can grow in a large quantity this type of vegetables, like this type of vegetables or this type of fruits also we can grow or we can cultivate. Okay, so up to this much is okay. Now if it is okay, then another type of crop I will tell you, that is the BT crops. Now BT crops are transgenic crops that are genetically engineered from the DNA of Bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, so BT crops, this I think you know this one, this BT crop. So BT crops, what we are doing, we are genetically engineered. These are genetically engineered from the DNA of DNA of the Bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. So here with these BT crops we are growing also, and in these BT crops, these are transgenic crops that produce the same toxin as the Bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis in the plant cell, thereby protecting the crops from the pests. And this bacterium secretes specific protein known as cryprotein that are toxic to insects. So that's why the insects are not coming to these crops. So BT crops like cotton, brinjal, corn, cotton, brinjal, these are the BT crops. So BT crops also we are growing, and this we are growing. These are very good crops, and because the pest, these are safe from the pest. And here the insects, they will not destroy the whole field, because the bacterium that secretes some specific proteins that are called cryproteins. The bacterium that will secrete the protein, that is cryprotein, and these are toxic to the insects. So that's why some BT crops we are growing also and we are using also. Now when an insect feeds on the transgenic plants, the toxic cryprotein present in the plant crystallizes the digestive system of the insect. And then what happens? Death of the insect. Death of the insect. So what? Our purpose is to protect the crop, and BT crop, it has been saved. Okay. So what happens here? When one insect that will try to feed on the transgenic plant, at that time I have told you that some toxic protein will be secreted. So the toxic cryprotein that presence in the plant will crystallize the digestive system of the insect. So the insect will die. So that means it has no harmful effects on the human digestive system. It is only harmful for the digestive system of the insects. So we are free. That means we can take this thing. Also, if we cultivate more and more BT crops, we can see that the pest control that we do not have to follow those things also. Okay. So now what is the Bacillus thuringiensis? Now this is a gram-positive spore-forming bacteria which is mainly found in the soil, and it produces the protein that is the cry protein, and that is toxic to insects. And organic farmers use the bacterium in a solution and spray it on the plants to protect them from the pests. I have told you, if I am growing the crop in a very large field and it is open, right? So according to the weather also, some airborne insects are there, right? And due to that, what happens? There will be some pests and it will destroy it can destroy a part or whole crop, whatever we are going to cultivate, or whatever before maturing the crop, it can affect that thing. So the Bacillus thuringiensis, this is a gram-positive spore-forming bacteria, and it will secrete the toxin, that is the cry protein. Some protein will be secreted from it, and that it produces the proteins that are toxic to the insects. And these organic farmers, they know these things, so they are using this phenomenon. What they are doing, they are using this bacterium. They are using this bacterium in a solution, and they are spraying it on the plants of whole the field, and to protect the crops from the pests. So in this way, we can protect the crops. So the practice of using the Bacillus thuringiensis began in the year of 1996 with a small quantity of genes from the bacterium. This facilitated the production of cry protein in plant cells that help to kill the pests. And pests like European and southwestern corn borer, tobacco, cotton budworm, pink bollworm, Colorado potato, beetle largely destroyed the crop yields. So at that time, this Bacillus thuringiensis, this protected the crops against such pests. So that means, as you know that Corona, it has come. That's why we have invented some vaccines that can kill or that can protect us. Similarly, it has there was some event, there was some occurrence that the pests, a huge field and huge number of crops, those have been affected by the pests, and due to that, huge number of crops have been destroyed. So at that time, the scientists, they have discovered this, that the Bacillus thuringiensis that can protect the crops against the pest, because it has the cry protein. So it will secrete the cry protein whenever the insects will come. So in this way, this thing, BT crops came, and BT crops that we are preferring now. In India also, we are cultivating a huge number of BT crops. Now, types of BT crops: BT cotton. This is genetically transformed with the BT gene to protect the plants from the bollworm, a major pest of cotton. Sometimes we can see that this cotton, this will be look like this one. After the maturity, whenever it will mature, then we can see this type of this cotton. Okay, so this will look like this. Now, whenever it will grow, at that time, bollworm, this insect that will affect this one. So BT gene, whatever we are doing, the BT cotton that would genetically transform with the BT gene to protect the plants from the bollworm. So this we may control this type of pest. The worms present on the leaves, here you can see in these leaves, in the leaves of BT cotton, become lethargic and sleepy, thus cause less damage of the plants. If it is BT cotton, then these are lethargic and sleepy, so they cannot damage the plant. When the worms consume the plant, the toxic protein produced by the crops are ingested and killing them. Automatically they will be killed. So this is the main advantage of the BT crops. So what happens whenever the worms, they consume the plant? Because for these worms, the main food is what? Main food is the plant. So whenever they consume the plant, then toxic cryprotein that will be produced, and then the crops, whenever they will just take it, at that time you can see that, it will kill them. So BT brinjal is also produced by genetic transformation of crystal protein gene Cry1 SE from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. So BT brinjal was developed to provide resistance against the lepidopteran insects. Okay, so we are using this. The protein produced by the BT genes bind to the receptors present on the insect's membrane, resulting the formation of pores on the membranes. It will result the pores on the membranes, and this disrupts the digestive process and the insect will die. Right? So here we can see that the BT genes, this binds to the receptors present on the insect's membrane. Then at that time it will form some pores on the membranes. So that pores, whenever the pores on the membrane, that means it will affect the digestive system. So whenever it will affect the digestive system, it will just destroy the digestive system. At that time the insect will die. So our BT brinjal is safe now. Now what are the advantage of BT crops? It helps in improving the crop yield. Now what do you mean by yield? In a particular field, how much crops, useful crops you are getting, that is the yield. Per unit area, how much crops you are getting, that is the yield. So it helps to improve the crop yield. That means it will increase the number of proper crop or useful crop. Raising the farmer's income, obviously, if yield is very high, that means number of crops is very high, the farmers are happy, they can sell more crop means more money, so it can improve the income. This result is increased farm production, so it will increase total farm production. They help in controlling the soil pollution as the use of synthetic pesticides is reduced. In the BT crops, we are not using any synthetic pesticide. Always synthetic pesticide, whenever we are using, we may be, for the time being, we are protecting the plant, but we are destroying the soil quality. We are destroying the soil quality. So that we can avoid using the BT crops. BT crops is helpful in protecting the beneficial insects, and it can easily feed an increasing population due to increased yield, because day by day you know that population is growing upward and upward. 130 crores, after sometimes I can see that it will 140 crores, and the whole world also the population is huge. So we have to feed every people. So if we have to feed every people, that means we have to increase number of cultivated crops, and that's why due to the increasing population we require more yield in short time, and it yields to the production of disease-free crops owing to the reduction of pesticides. As you know that BT crops we are using less amount of pesticide, so soil is protected, soil is okay. So in the same soil you can cultivate again. But if you are using synthetic pesticides, after that you can see that again you have to prepare the soil for new cultivation. Again you have to prepare the soil, and for that you have to give so much money. So it leads more productivity in small area land. Okay. So what is BT crops? What are the advantages of BT crops? We have studied. Now, till now, whatever we have studied, first, what is crop? Next, what we have studied? different types of crops according to the season. What we have studied in monsoon, we have to cultivate kharif. When in case of winter, we have to cultivate rabi, that is means spring. And in June to March, like summer in our India, in this time, in between this time, we have to cultivate zaid. Then what we have studied? The BT crops. Then we have studied the BT crops. And then we have studied BT crops. And then we have studied advantages of BT crops. And in between advantages of BT crops, and in between this we have studied how the cry protein that is how the cry protein that is killing the insects, and protecting our crops. Okay, up to this much for today. Next day